Ah, I don't know what to do. Okay, I press buttons. Here we are. Yay! Um, so, thank you all for joining. I was busy tweeting out that we were actually doing things. I think normally we have a different setup, and normally also Brandon does this. Can I rearrange this? Hello, Kim. You're big now. Hey, now I am big. I don't know how any of this works, but we'll manage. So normally we have Brandon here, who is usually pressing all the buttons and making sure that we look all right. But here we are. This is me. I'm going to do the talking and the pressing of buttons. But we also have Vlad, as we have always. Vlad, how are you doing today, my friend?
Yeah. Hello, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm very excited that autumn is here and a lot of events coming this autumn. Starting, let's say, in 7 days, we'll see new iPhones. Then my birthday in October. Then November, and we'll see .NET 7 and new version of .NET MAUI. So many awesome events happening this autumn.
Absolutely. When was your birthday? What did you say it was?
4th of October.
I have to remember that. I'm going to write it down right now. There we go. So I don't forget. Add the new iPhone. I'll be honest. I'm still a big iPhone fan, and I watched every event. But I don't know. Something happened, and I don't really care anymore. I'm not gonna, sit for the TV, watch the whole thing. I'll just get the highlights afterwards. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to the new i stuff coming out. I think they did announce. What did you say? Sorry.
Yeah. I recently bought a MacBook, so I'm looking for a new upgrade for my phone.
Good. Now you're hooked. Now you have to have all the stuff. But I think they did announce. I like the Mini. I have the 13 Mini. I like it because it's small. I don't need the big ones. But I think the rumors already said that they're not going to do the Mini anymore. So that's sad.
I'm still has the 8 Plus, so it's
okay.
time to upgrade.
Cool. But we have someone who we haven't. Well, you've probably seen him before. Let's be honest. But not on the stream. We also have Kim. Here he is. Boom.
Hello. How
Kim.
you doing?
Good day. How you doing, mate? I'm not even going to try.
That was a terrible accent.
Yeah, I know.
I'm doing very well, thank you, and honored to be here. So,
so we're very glad to announce that Kim is not just here for being on the stream, just filling up your screen basically, but also he's going to help us out with the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it, for that and for phones.
And for phones in general.
I've got a phone; it's broken, so
that happens. Yeah, phones, they break, they fall, they do whatever, but it happens. And I think you're because you're in Australia, for the people who are not aware, and I think you got up at it's now 5 a.m. for you, something like that. So
it's just past 5, so I got up about 30. So
oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Barocca. I'm drinking a Barocca
out of a Pokemon glass. That's cool.
Yeah,
also,
as you do.
Yeah, exactly. Also, who just joined is Pedro. He has been here for multiple times, but he was a little bit late. But here he is in his new home. He's got his piano, a fresh paint. It's amazing.
Thank you. Love that you like my new home.
yeah, it looks amazing. Pedro, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine. I'm just in one of the most beautiful places in Brazil. Is Florianopolis. It's an island. A lot of places to go and nature. Anyone that came to Brazil should be here at least for a week.
Amazing.
In summer, of course.
Of course. Great. I was very close to Brazil once. I should go back and actually visit Brazil. But anyway, yes, and I will find you and we'll drink a cerveza.
Please.
Good. Kim is like, it's 5 a.m. Stop talking about beer. Okay. So let's talk about the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. It's crazy if you think about it, right? Here it's okay, just to give people some, it's 9 p.m. here, 5 a.m. in Australia. Pedro, what time is it for you? 1 or 2 p.m., something like that?
No, it's 4 p.m.
4 already. Oh, okay. Cool. And Vlad, I think you're the closest to me. I think you're 1 hour early or something.
It's 10 p.m. right now.
Oh, 1 hour later. Yeah,
no,
that makes sense. Sure. All right, cool. All right, sorry, totally distracted here. We're here to talk about the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, and I forgot to put myself in the big screen here. I still don't know how to do this layout. And we got some nice topics, which are all pinned to Vlad right now, but I think I can get a couple of other people to talk about this as well. Let me share my screen so that you don't have to watch me full screen all the time. That's probably better. Here we go. And the first thing we have here is the status bar effect. And actually, I'm going to ask Pedro about that because we've talked about it a little bit. And this is something, I'm out there in the community. I make videos. I do all kinds of things. And I work on .NET MAUI. Maybe that helps too. And what a lot of people are asking right now is like, how do I change the color of the status bar? This is something a lot of people want. We've had it in the Xamarin Community Toolkit. We wanted to bring it over to, well, actually, Pedro, you talk about it. What happened with the status bar effect? Why don't we have it right now?
So we still don't have it right now because we was waiting for an open issue on the .NET MAUI side that someone asked or mentioned that this feature should be implemented there. So no, okay, let's wait to see what's going on. And looks like the feature will not be implemented on the .NET MAUI, at least not for .NET 7. So now we are ready to go to implement this one, and I already started to work on the migration yesterday, and we should have a PR soon. But on the Xamarin Community Toolkit, this is an effect, and I'm not sure if we will ship this as behavior or as a attached property. But I am also trying to separate some part of the code because also to make sure that the devs can change that using C#, just calling one method, but also have the ability to perform the changes using the XAML as well if they want. So probably we should have something until the end of the month. That starts just today.
Well, that's good, right? We'll just say before the end of the month, and that gives us a lot of time. So that's good. Yeah. So that's basically it, right? I think we had this with another thing, right, where we waited for, because affects are not really a thing anymore in .NET MAUI. We only have behaviors now, but there was some issues with that, so we were waiting on that, and now we're going to work on implementing this. Actually, I skipped the step where I was talking about an upcoming release, and I guess this is a quick point. So we're going to work on this for this month, the status bar effect. I think we added some new stuff. Actually, I can see that right now. No, let's not do this one, which we can actually release. So let's just think of a release date right now, because we should release a new version. Should I do it live on stream? No, that's too adventurous. So if we compare, how does this work actually? Draft new release. Let's just do that. We can easily see what would go in for a new release right now. I'll just make this 111. Doesn't really matter. Generate release notes. Oh, see. Oh my gosh, we got so many new stuff if we were to do a release right now. So I think it's about time that we do a new release. So let's just make the release date. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm typically the release guy. So I'm gonna do that like early next week. Let's do a new release of the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit. So that's something that you can prepare for. You can hold me accountable now. I said it on stream. It's going to happen. It won't have the status bar effect yet, but it will have it somewhere later on. So you have, like, Pedro, you said, like, should we do this as an attached property or as a behavior? Do we want to, is that something that we need to discuss? Is it something that we
because for example, right now if we choose to use the attached property, will be like this XAML usage, as you can see there. And if you choose to use a behavior, we need to do content page dot behavior and with the behavior there, as you usually do with the behaviors. So just thinking a cleanest way to provide to expose the API for users. And for the C# usage, you don't need to use the attached or the behavior, because you can call it the set color method directly in C#. So will be cleaner as well. So we can give a lot of options to our users.
Cool. I like it. So yeah, here's some discussion already, like why is it blocked and whatnot. Vlad, I see you put the needs discussion on.
Yeah, I put in the discussion just because this issue is not championed yet. And there is no blockers, so probably it's time to vote for it and update our labels.
Oh my gosh, you're completely right, Vlad. I'm just skipping over all the ceremonies here and all the things that we have in place, and I'm just saying, let's do this. But we have to vote. So is there anyone who doesn't want this status bar effect in here? Then who wants the status bar effect in here? I do. Okay, good. I don't know how Brandon usually does this. I'm going to assign myself as a champion. I don't care. And there we go. Championed. No longer needs discussion. I'm going to have to see if the bot is going to fight me now. We have a bot in place that does things for us. But I think we're good. Okay, nice. So that's out of the way. Now let's start implementing it and make sure that it's not in the next release, but in the release after that. Cool. And yeah, Kim says, like, yay, no more Googling how to change the status bar. It's nice that this message overlaps Kim's camera, so you don't miss a thing. All right, cool. So what else do we got? Kim, I just asked you in our private chat. Are you comfortable showing, because you cooked up a little new design for something, maybe? So you don't have to do it like right now, but if you're comfortable sharing that and pull up all the things a little bit later, that would be cool.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right, cool. So you can prepare that in the meanwhile while we talk a little bit about the new issue template. Yes, Vlad, you prepared a little thing for our bug report form. So whenever you go to GitHub, you open a new issue. They have this feature for a while where you don't have this big text block anymore that you can totally ignore if that's what you want. You now have to actually fill in a form, and we can make tweaks to that, of course, how that looks like. So Vlad, you had a little proposal here on something that you want to add here.
Yeah, so where this issue actually came from, it's usually in our template, where it's when user fills it, we still have the next command where we ask user to attach a small repro. It's really important for us just because from time to time it's hard to reproduce the issue just having a part of the code. So we usually ask user for attach a small repro. So just to avoid this routine, I propose to create a new report form. So how it looks like, this report form is still in beta in GitHub. And how it looks like, it's only work for public projects. So when we started, so now we have this form where we have to fill our title. We ask user to make a check to check that he already searched for existing issues, so we do not have a duplicate. We ask user, and these fields almost all are required, where we ask user to provide some current behavior, expected behavior. It would be nice if they fill it with some images. Also, the most important part here is steps to reproduce, and attachment is required. Also, a small notification for user that if he does not attach a small repro, this issue will have a needs to reproduce. So attachments are required for us to work on the bug, and it increase our response to make sure that issue is reproduced. We can reproduce it and we can fix it as soon as possible. And some other fields where we can ask user to specify the version which we currently have. because it may be user have an old version and it's already fixed in the latest one. Also environment, just to make sure that we can reproduce it on a specific version, for example, of Windows. So it's issue on Mac OS or some specific .NET MAUI version. And also anything else, it's an optional feature for users. So if something else, some references, some images, some links would be also useful for us to. So the more information we get from user about the issue, the better response and faster response we can faster response to user and provide him information about the issue. So I'm currently proposed this form. I created a pull request for it. So what do you think about it? Does this form looks good? Or do we need some additional fields? So just to show how it works, when user created, it's still just a fulfilled. It automatically filled all our questions. We can still edit it. Here it's already just a small markdown.
I am gonna go first, and I like it. Actually, I like it. I like it a lot. You gave me a little idea. So if I share my screen again, and I go to the .NET MAUI repo, I took a little inspiration, and I took it even a little bit further. My computer is really slow because I'm sharing all kinds of things. So if you go to issues, because we have, I think we can be not as strict with like the .NET MAUI community toolkit, but what we're doing for .NET MAUI is we can't really accept any zip files anymore because that's a potential security risk. So what we really want is to put reproductions on a GitHub, or if you want to do something else, repository that's public, and just link us to that. So what I did is really make a separate field for here, the link to public production project repository. So just really a separate field so that people are kind of forced to think about it. At least you can still input anything, of course, if that's what you want, but then we know that you very deliberately ignored that field, and there must be a good reason for it. But otherwise, we want to have that. So that might be something that we consider, but I think this is a great first step, what you did, Vlad. If I can continue for a little bit long. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know about the security issue in zip files. Yeah, I know that they may upload some unusual things there, but yeah.
So don't worry about it. I think for like the .NET MAUI community toolkit, it kind of depends on the machine that you do it on and whatnot.
Affect our device, so probably it's better than user provide the link to the GitHub.
Exactly. So we prefer that, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I have put up a little question from Giovanni van Geel, which sounds kind of Dutch. So why the attachment requirement and what to attach? Kim already responded in the chat, like with maybe logs. Logs is definitely a good thing, right? We want to have that log output, but even more important, like I already said, like give us that reproduction project. That helps so much. We cannot see what is happening on your screen, what you're typing, what you're doing, what you're seeing. And if it's a reproducible bug, if it's something that you can reproduce on multiple machines, that's kind of like the definition of a bug, right? So put it in a small sample, kind of try to mimic the scenario from your big application that you have. Put that inside of like your in a little reproduction sample, which is just a file new .NET MAUI application. This goes for any for any technology, by the way. File new .NET MAUI, file new console application, do whatever that shows the bug, basically. Add the bits in there, just the bits that reproduce the bug, that shows the issue that you want to report. Put that on a GitHub repository and send that to us, because that is so helpful that we don't have to kind of like guess what you were thinking, guess what you were trying to do. It's very easy to say like, it's very easy, reproducible, just do this and this and this. If it's so easy, if it's just this and this and this, please do that for us. Help us out. By going through these steps, you might already come to the conclusion like, oh, maybe I should do this and this and this, and then it does work. That happens a lot of the times. And if that doesn't happen to you, that's fine. You still have that reproduction project. We can look at it. We can help you out maybe very quickly, at least with the workaround, and we can very easily diagnose it and hopefully fix it. So I hope that kind of like makes clear why we're asking for it and why it's so very useful.
Yeah, we don't need the whole project which you currently have.
No,
So
absolutely.
the smallest changes which can help us to reproduce the issue, that's all that we need.
Absolutely. And Kim adds, like, Kim is here, but he's typing in the chat a lot as well. So I'm just putting his messages on. And maybe a visual video of the issue, that always helps as well. Like, if you can't share the whole thing, if you can't do that for some reason, if you don't want to, it's going to be a little bit less priority because it's going to be more work for us. It always helps to then at least add a screenshot so we can see, like, okay, this looks funny. Please zoom in on that, or whatever. Or a video is even better than so.
If I can add something also about this, the attachment. For example, when I do investigation for bugs, I just open that solution file, deleted the NuGet package from the community toolkit, and reference our project directly. So that helped me a lot during the debug process because I already have the reproduction sample of the bug and I can jump in the bug. So this saves a ton and tons of time instead of me trying to create a new project, trying to copy and paste whatever the user did there. And sometimes I don't get the same issue. So please attach a reproduction. It will help us to help you.
Yeah, exactly. Help us to help you. That's exactly the point. And you can do that yourself, right? If you like want to make your open source contributions, get started with that. The .MAUI Community Toolkit is a very welcoming club. It's us. We're very helpful. George here is in the chat who is doing great contribution. So, you could pull down the project .MAUI Community Toolkit, delete the NuGet reference, add the project reference, and you can step through the code. Also, I saw, like, from the corner of my eye, when we just created that new release, that we also are enabling source link. We have put in some work for that, which should make it even easier. You don't have to pull down our code. You don't have to do all the things. With source link, you can just say, hey, step into the code of the .MAUI Community Toolkit or any other package that has it enabled, and you can step through our code. It will download that from the repository, and you can step through our code and maybe even debug that way. So, lots of ways to go here.
Is the source code link something that's coming out in the next version, or is it there at the moment?
No, it's going to come in the next version.
Yeah, beautiful.
Which is going to be released early next week. I said that early. All right, brilliant. Kim can speak as well. That's good. Kim, actually, while we're there, do you have a little thing prepared?
Oh,
we're a bit all over the place. I don't care.
Let me see if I understand how to use this.
Yep, that looks like it.
All right. So I was in a day of meetings, and one of the things we were talking about is perhaps giving a bit of a new look to the sample application. And so this is and one of the sample applications they referenced was we were talking about was the WinUI 3, I think, sample application, which is pretty cool. So I took a little bit of visual inspiration from that, and just a different way of representing the just the samples, and really it's kind of it's really just redesigning it. It isn't changed the actual information architecture in the app, but basically the idea is you'd have the app, and of course it could run on a mobile device or on Windows or on Mac. So basically what we have is we've got a list of the various components in here, or the categories of components. We've got some links straight out to, so this is a Figma design, I should say. This is not the app running. So a link out to, say, the GitHub repo, so you can go straight there. Of course, if you're in, say, Windows or Mac, that would launch out into a separate browser, which would be pretty useful. Documentation, so link straight into the docs. What else? So basically going into the components. So similar to what it does at the moment, I guess, is, we click in here, you'll be in the, let's say, the alert section. You might go and have a look at the snack bar. And basically what we have in the pages at the moment would be basically this middle content here. So it would still be an interactive sample that runs, but perhaps on each of these we could do something like link out to the documentation for that particular component that the page is about. You can have a look at the page source of, say, this page here, sort of link straight out to that, so somebody can see how that page was created. That's a little idea. So these are just ideas that we'd want to refine. Same sort of thing with, let's say, behaviors. You get a list of behaviors here, and then you might sort of go into here, and then you've got an interactive workspace that works. And again, you can sort of go into the various docs straight from here as well. So that was just like a little proof of concept idea. So I don't know.
Great.
Does that help?
I love it. Yeah, so this is a sample app that we have inside of our repository. We've had a lot of questions over time, like, are we going to publish this to the stores? I think in an earlier episode we've talked about like that's kind of hard because we have a lot of infrastructure and stuff going on to actually make that happen. So we're thinking about it maybe, but making it look pretty. And I think we talked about, like, you mentioned it already, the Windows Community Toolkit people, they actually have something in the store. So we might piggyback off whatever they have and how they set it up. We need to talk to them. We're in constant contact with them. So who knows what might happen. And making it look beautiful definitely helps to making me want it putting it into the store. So yeah. Kim, did you want anything more to add here?
I don't think so. I think there's some logical things. Which one thing Vlad mentioned was a search in there would be great. Because you might not know what components are in there. You might come in and type in status bar, and you're like, hey, there's a status bar thing that Pedro threw in. So yeah. But
yeah, we can also extend it with like release notes where we have like third version 1.3, which will be the next, so we can update it and also show what's new. So it also may be like a promotional for our community library, for our repo. So
yeah, and I think like as a user of the community toolkit, where I use this application is actually just sort of, I actually spent before I sort of joined in a lot of time just coming through and having a look at behaviors and going, oh, okay, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. You're in some of the say converters and things like that, and so it's a nice way of people seeing what's in there, and it's also a nice way of instead of, if you're not somebody who likes to dig into docs, just sort of have a quick view of, like, if you were looking at sort of like mass behaviors, it's like, okay, how do we do that credit card thing, and if you link out to the page, you can see that code nice and easy.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. So next thing on my list, Kim, thank you so much. So just to be clear, this was a concept, right? You created this in Figma, which is a design tool.
That's right.
But this hasn't really gone into the app yet. So we'll talk about it a little bit, see if we can tweak some things here and there, and then Kim is hopefully going to provide that for us.
Sure.
All right, what else do we got? Let's have a look at my list. I think I also have something about the expander. Vlad, did we talk about that already earlier? I think.
Yeah, we
maybe?
talked about it already. Let me also share my screen again.
Oh, sure. Do it in your screen.
So previous meeting we talked about how should be implemented. Should we use like new handler architecture, or we should use just this already components like grid or stack layout? So we decided that we go simple and removed our handler architecture. So how it works right now, it's pretty much the same. So now we can add like left and right expanded direction. Also, but we still have an issue with like list view, where even in code I can show that we still have like even with force update size for cell, it's still like go out of the like out of this cell, so it's rendered not very nice. If you click here, so it's rendered inside of the cell of the list view here. With collection view, it works as expected, where collection view expands correctly. And also another issue which I found, it's related to like left and right direction changes. So here it's an down direction, and up it also works correct. But when we click left, you can see that now like component which I click to expand it is somewhere, and the same have. So let's see it in the right. So you can see it's text and the content. The content of expanded content is not wrapped correctly, and I was not able to fix it for now. So it's the only one issue which I currently haven't. It looks not very nice. So probably I ask someone for help me with find the solution for this expanded. Yeah, because for example for up and down you can see it, the content automatically wraps, while for left and right it's on the same line and somewhere there. Yeah, that's it about expander. So it mostly about asking for help about this issue. We probably with one with the list view, and the second one is with expanded direction and wrapping this content. Pull request is pretty much done, so it's ready for reviewing inside of code. Probably you can leave the comments and suggestions how to help and fix the issue.
You are muted, Jared.
Thank you. I was saying something earlier. The PR, you mentioned like you still need some help.
Yeah.
But it's also done. So how does that work?
Well, it's for simple implementation. So right now you can test it. You can work with expander when it's simple. So with multi-level expanders. For now, the only two issues which I currently have is a list view, where it's rendered not correctly, and also this wrapping content. So currently, yeah, two issues.
Okay, so basically it's ready, but it has some known issues then.
Yeah, it has some known issues. So
and are the issues on macOS only or all the platforms, or you don't know?
No, it happens on all platforms.
Okay, so
well,
then
for list view, it's only not reproduced only on Windows, because list view on Windows is awesome, and yeah, and as for this wrapping, it happens on all platforms. Probably it's a behavior. Yeah, what is behind the expander right now? It's a stack layout. And probably it's the behavior of the stack layout, which or content, which is how it renders it. So when we have a horizontal direction, so it wraps flat columns and not wraps the content. Don't know if we can fix it on our side, or .NET MAUI team can help us and fix it on their side. It would be preferable as for me.
What, you want us to do all the work? No, absolutely. If this is something on our side, then absolutely we need to look into that. So I don't know. Are you on the .NET Discord thing as well? Well, you're on Discord, so you should be able to be there as well. We have the MAUI channel there, and I think the team is pretty active there. So you could at least put it in there, and else let me know, and I will find the right person for you. George in the chat says, if I suggest looking at the button control, works out size multiple times and resizing issues. So it might be something that you could look at, but if I'm understanding you correctly, it's more something, a bug inside of .NET MAUI that we just need to fix as well. So yeah, you can have a look.
Probably it's just how maybe it's expected behavior of how stack layout should renders its content, because you can see it renders it correct when we choose up and down direction, but when so up and down we have a vertical stack layout. In horizontal we have a horizontal stack layout, and it just renders it how it is.
Yeah. Okay. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. Cool. So what else? What else did we have on our list? Let me have a quick look. Oh, so this one, the link was wrong on one of these. This is also PR. Oh, it's also for Flat. So just continue talking, Flat. What is this all about?
Use culture when convert colors. So in different what to start. So in different cultures, there is a different separator for colors in converter where we convert from our color to string. So probably here in issue, I can show and describe it a bit better. So for example, for alpha of the color, where we call to string in United States, we have a separator with which is a dot a point, and for example in Ukraine here we have a separator which is comma, and you can see the difference of so expected behavior as for me when we separate when I convert color to string, expect to have a valid separators. Right now it's the same for all the same, but actually I expect that like for now culture info is ignored. In converter we have second parameter which was just ignored. It's better to see it in pull request changes. In converter, probably in here, yeah, we had a culture which by default is null, and we didn't provide it. So even user provides some information to culture, it was just ignored. So probably it was not expected behavior for user to see, at least for me when I see the string, and how I found it test failed on my device. And yeah, so that is why I decided to fix it and provide the culture. As well as the converters and have a valid separator. The only one issue which is currently have is, for example, when we separate it and use, for example, in Ukraine we have a comma. You can see that we have we separate like different like RGB and also alpha, which is split like into different like numbers. For example, if you try to parse it. So probably for now, just adding culture is enough. But for future, maybe if you decide to parse it, probably it's better to add additional space here or replace this separator from comma to something like semicolon. It's not required for now. Definitely it's not a part of this bug. So this bug is only about pass culture here in our methods, just to receive expected result.
Great. Yeah, those are always hard to spot. You just test with your one culture thing, right? And then things go wrong. But luckily, we have a lot of cultures here with all these people, so we can easily test these things now. Cool, cool, cool. So, is this you mentioned like this is a bug, but this also has a PR already. So we just need
Yeah.
to review that, merge it. Maybe we can make it part of the next release.
Yeah,
If
I
we,
even added documentation for it with updates. So
oh,
it's
perfect.
currently waiting for approves, reviews. We had a discussion with Sean about it, where he suggested. Sorry, I don't remember what he suggested, but I answered. So he suggested it's not possible to when we use a converter, we most likely use it in XAML, and right now we're not able to provide the culture info to as a fourth or third parameter of converter. And I found that in .NET MAUI, Garrett created an issue where we can provide a culture to bind it inside of converter. So probably I thought it's milestone.NET 8, but anyway, in future it will be a part of. So we will be able to bind to current culture, and we will be able to pass this culture info inside of the converter and pass it to the method.
Yeah, cool. Good. So yeah, I know Sean is. I think he's on vacation this week, so he should be back Monday. I think so. Hopefully, we can get the documentation ready, and we can merge that thing in time for the next release, which is going to happen
Sure.
next week. Um, so good, good, good. Yeah, I only have Vlad on the list. Pedro, do you have one that you want to talk about? Maybe
Not on top of my mind, to be honest.
not really. All right, no worries. Then we'll just stick with Vlad. So he unshared the screen, but you're just gonna keep talking. I have another one here, Vlad, which is the argument null exception with a numeric validation behavior. You have that sounds like another bug that we had.
Well, it's expected behavior what in terms of what we have right now. Because we don't expect like null argument inside of numeric validation, probably. So and we through exception right now, which in most our, as you can see in our test, it was expected. But I previously created a discussion about like do not throw exceptions in code which it can be written in XAML. Why I created it? Because in XAML it's not possible. It's very hard, even if it's not even possible, to catch exceptions. So in most cases, our application crashes, and it's not a user-friendly behavior. So
Yeah. So what would happen for this case for example is like the numeric validation behavior would validate that you only input a number inside of an entry thing, right? So whenever you put that validation only in example, because that's what happens, right? You want to validate that little thing, you put it in your example, and then you put null in for some reason because your server, for whatever reason, returns null. Then suddenly you have an exception, and because you only want to do that behavior inside of your example, now you have to suddenly do all kinds of weird things in code, create all kinds of things to catch that exception or work around it, right? So that's what we kind of want to prevent. That's what your discussion was about.
yeah, exactly. So you can see here it was an issue when we tried to parse some numeric and try to parse it double, and it was not correctly parsed. So my proposal is to remove all exceptions, mostly all, even if not all exceptions which we have currently in converters, at least converters, and replace them with return a default value instead. So how I can see it can work for us, we can probably have a default property, new property which we add in all converters, and it will return its value, and it will not a break and change for users just because if user had an exception, so its application doesn't work and user is not happy. If his applications doesn't crash, probably it's expected behavior for user. So in most cases, as for me, it's not a break and change if we return default value instead of exception. Another option is to, if we still assume that it's a break and change, we can create a flag throw exception, which we can pass during our .MAUI initialization in our builder. Use community toolkit. And pass this flag and use it across all our library. And through if user still wants to get exception in case of the issue of invalid parameter passed to converter or whatever, we can through exception as it works right now.
Sounds good. Great.
Are
Yeah, the
there
last
any-
thing on my yeah, go ahead, Kim.
I was just gonna ask: is there a standard that any of the teams use for what you should do with an invalid value? Are we changing the standard, or are we setting the standard?
For now, I think we just throw exception. In case of changes, we can return default value which is provided here.
Mhm.
Or my suggestion is to have a default property and return it instead. So by default, it will have the same values here. But if user, for example, we probably had an issue with the picker where user it's changed to default value -1, and it was not expected for user. He expected 0 because he tried to cast it to enum. So probably we can provide a better behavior and configuration for user to what is default value instead of just throwing exception if value is null.
Yeah, this thing about provided default value is kind of hard, because how we can guarantee that our default value will not collapse with some default value on existing applications,
That is a good question, but probably user what user happens right now if in all cases where he provide invalid value, we throw exception. So current behavior is not expected for all users. So if user applications crashes, then probably developer already fixed it and validate its value by default. So we only replace this exception by default value. So in most cases, user will not bump into this issue for all existing users. For new users, maybe they will already work with this default behavior and assume that it's expected. Well, and because we have a property which I suggest to add a default value, user probably will set it in case it's not expected for him to have default behavior, default if it's the same as he not expects. For example, he can send it to -1 and that will work for him.
Mm-hmm.
While default for integer is 0.
Okay, so the user will be able to override the default
Yeah, exactly.
value. Oh, okay.
I actually just dug up the docs for one of the vendor toolkits, and their converters say if they get an empty or an invalid value passed to the convert method, they return a null. Is that a
Yeah,
thing? Could that be a thing?
we can return null, but yeah, you can see here we use like
Yeah.
in converters, in default converters which exist in .NET MAUI, out of the box, it returns object. And we have like generic converters, generic behaviors converters. We try to avoid this boxing, and we return specific type for users. So if you can't just remove like integer here or some another value, you can only return value task bool in this case. So returning null will mean that we need to just replace all our outputs to nullable, to make them nullable, and maybe null is still not expected. For example, if you try to convert some value, convert like to enum, and you expect to receive some value, depends on, or you want to return integer, depends of a picker of enum values. So null maybe is not expected here.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
that will not be easy to think.
Yeah, we can probably. It's what's good of this is we can try to go one by one and still fix them and see how it works with all cases. And yeah, as I mentioned, we still like when we initialize it with a default like method where we can set the flag through exception, so users will not see the difference, because by default I suggest to keep it true, which is the current behavior for all users.
Yeah, I'm kind of defense right now. I know that Brandon is not here, but he wants that advocate for throwing exceptions, and I can see value on his vision, because it's like, for example, when you do a binding, a normal binding, but you do a typo there, that binding just doesn't show up, and you don't know if your binding is wrong or you have something wrong on the code. And now when you have an exception, like you see, oh, I did something wrong and I can't fix it. It's like very visual and easy to see that something is wrong. So, like when you mentioned it, put in valid value, sometimes I think it should not be the the dev responsibility to filter the values and make sure that the values are valid, or something like that. Of course, that will be cases that we don't want to throw an exception, but I believe that will be cases that we want to throw an exception, right?
I like idea of exceptions, and I still think it's a valid in case you can catch that exception. Otherwise, when you can't like handle it, you can catch it, and you just get it and the application crashes. Probably it's even as for me it's worse behavior than just like have invalid value for user and probably notify him with some alert that he entered invalid value.
All right, guys, we're on time, so I'm going to have to end the discussion here, but let's discuss this in the actual discussion that's in the link. I put it in the chat. I showed it on the screen, so there is no reason that you there, people in the chat, the community out there, because that's why it's the Done at Maui Community Toolkit. We want you to join us in this as well. It seems that we have some good discussions going on here, some good things to look forward to in future releases. I'm just going to end in this little positive note here. Alan Ritchie, the one and only, joined us on the stream and said, "Hey, you're doing great, guys. And I love doing these discussions here. I should take notes." So we're looking forward to the first live stream of Alan in the near future, where he is going to talk us through all the wonderful stuff that he's doing with his Shiny library. Thank you so much for your continued efforts on that, Alan, because you have been around for a long time as well. And on that positive note, we're on time, I think already over time, so we have to make room on this channel for the next stream. And we'll see you for the next month's stream, hopefully with Brandon and Sean and Kim and all the wonderful people here. So see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, how does this work? Oh, I'm messing it up. Okay, I'm just going to end the stream. Bye.
Bye.